What if your entire house could only be one color? Would it be a dream or would it be a nightmare? I decided to accept the one color build challenge in The Sims 4. To choose the color, I used a picker wheel and entered 6 colors. Blue. This is the house I decided to use for the color challenge in The Sims 4. For this video, I had 35,695 simoleons to start with. And whenever I finished this build, I was left with 2,358 simoleons. So this house entirely was built for $33,337, which I thought was pretty cool, considering I thought that it was going to cost a lot more than that, and I would have had to cheat more funds, but I didn't have to. So as you can see on the top left-hand corner, that is the example photo that I was using for this video. And I thought that it wasn't going to take me that long to do. And I thought I was almost done like in 16 minutes, but that was just the outside. Then I had to think about the inside. But I was almost done with the outside whenever I realized I was doing a one color challenge. I completely forgot. I was mimicking the photo in the top left-hand corner, which was fine, but it wasn't the purpose of the video. So I had to resize this so many times because I was trying to make the windows fit, I guess, or make it look a little bit better and kind of closer to what the picture looks like. But as we know, sometimes the builds do not look well in the Sims 4 as they do in other photos, but we try our best, and that's what I was trying to do. As you can see, I still didn't realize that this was a one color challenge. We just kept on going, and this is an example of me trying to change things around. But I built this house, decorated this house based off of my current save, which is a 2 Sim household right now, a man and a woman, and the woman is currently pregnant with twins, one boy, one girl. And I wasn't sure if I was going to use this house later after the twins grew up and they could have their own separate rooms, but I decided to keep it to where it is right now and just have the bassinets and everything. So this is a good example of how pictures of houses do not translate well in The Sims 4, because this does not look good. Whenever I was using the wood paneling, it did not look well, or shutters did not look good. So I decided to forget it and just do what I was going to. That this is actually where I realized that, oh my gosh, it is a one color challenge. So I had to change everything. And I really wasn't liking the dark blue, which you'll see in a little bit, but I was completely spacing on that. And I did allow myself to use like whites for the windows and the doors and also the carpets, because I really didn't want a blue carpet everywhere, and I really didn't like the blue doors that were available. So I just decided to use the carpet, which I think is new with the update. I'm not sure. But I didn't use the new tile that came up with the update. I didn't like how it looked. So I just used one of the old base game ones because I liked the way that that looked. And it was a good contrast with the baby blue wallpaper that we'll see here shortly. And I changed this up so many times, like with the kitchen. I didn't quite like the kitchen being open like that, and seeing the tile eventually, I just didn't think that looked well. So I added another wall and kind of made a room out of it and just used an archway so it'd be an easier access. The thing that I wish the Sims 4 had was auto snapping for windows and a grid for windows, because it would be a lot easier just to line them all up that way, because I know for certain that all of these windows are not the same height and they probably look really bad. But I struggle with that, trying to make sure every window is lined up, as you can see. And I think that's where I kind of gave up, because I was like, well, it is what it is. But this is a good practice because it makes you really think about all the different shades of blue. And I learned that not all the blues match. And this was especially struggling with trying to find a chair and a love seat that matched. I couldn't. It was difficult, so I eventually just gave up and I got 3 love seats. Am I going to use that many? Probably not. Does it look good? Probably not, but I do think that it is functional. So that's a start. And I just used a regular base game rug for that. And I was going to use the Dream Day decorator, but I really don't like their stuff a whole lot. I used it, but I don't really like it a whole lot. And this was especially bugging me because I was trying to get the furniture lined up, but as you can see, it was not. And I couldn't move the love seat that's on the right hand side closer to the door because it would have glitched and it wouldn't have worked. And it wouldn't have been functional. So I had to say sayonara to that. And I didn't realize how difficult it was to put paintings on the wall that looked decent, that would actually match what was going on. Because it's either a different wood color, like it has blue, but it's like a different wood color. And that's also why it probably looks kind of weird and janky. But hey, it was a challenge that I had to do. And I don't think it looks that bad in the end. Well, as I was doing it, I was like, man, this is awful. No one's going to want to play in this house. They're going to completely demolish it. Or even just click off the video. Which that's fair. But I also realized, and I really didn't go in with a plan of what I wanted it to look like. The only room that I really had a plan for was the office. And it just kind of fell into place. Like, oh, that looks good like this. And it was good. But all of the other ones, I was just trying to figure out how I could still make it functional. And the weirdest one is the bathroom. It's like, I don't even know how that's even functional. It says that it is because I turned off move objects and I couldn't put the sink anywhere else or the tub anywhere else or the toilet anywhere else that it would snap to the grid. And it didn't say it was interfering with any other objects. So I'm curious how that's actually going to work out, if it actually is. I haven't play tested it yet, but I will. But yeah, after a while, like at this point, my eyes were kind of just overwhelmed with all the different shades of blue that really didn't match. And, you try to have a theme for your house, but with a one color challenge, it's really difficult to have that because you just take what you can get. And I was just going to use I was just trying to use base game, but that didn't happen. I think that was at the very beginning, I'm going to use base game, and then I didn't shortly after. But I did reuse a lot of paintings because they had blue, and they weren't childlike, I guess, for rooms that weren't child or for a child. So there's a lot of reusing and things that didn't quite make sense. And so here is this is where I turned off the move object so I could get everything to snap properly. And this is where everything started to fall into place for this specific room. I was like, okay, yeah, I can make this work. And I was trying to figure out what I could use for a background. And I was like, oh, I can use a bookshelf or something. Not that would look nice, but which I did. And I just added a painting. So it was like, if they did decide that they wanted to stream, yeah, they have a nice background. And this was a weird shaped room, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. But yeah, this is where the twins were going to go. And it was one boy, one girl, but I couldn't use pink. So I had to use just blue, which was fine. And obviously whatever it came with. But trying to have a matching theme in this room was extremely difficult because just a lot of it didn't make sense. and there's not really a whole lot of decorations for babies, at least the ones that I have. So I just had to use what I had. And I'm not even quite sure how it looks. I'm looking at it now on a different screen, and it looks okay. It definitely looks weird, but it's okay. It's not something that I would have in my own personal nursery if I ever had one, but it works. Again, it's difficult to decorate for The Sims 4. And see, this is where the bathroom issue came into play, because you would think that you'd be able to fit everything in there just right? No. You see, that didn't make sense. How could I put that there? And see, I got a smaller sink and a smaller toilet, or a smaller tub. And apparently, that's functional. I don't know. I guess it is. But so I just did a copy and paste, basically, of the previous bathroom to the next bathroom, because I just couldn't be bothered to mess with it. It worked, so I was just leaving it. So yeah, the intention for that bathroom, because they're side by side, one of them's connected to the nursery, so whenever the twins get older, we can put a door there so we can take care of the kids so they can have their own little bathroom. And this flooring actually reminds me of something that I saw like in the early 2000s or so, and having that wall phone definitely reminded me of The Sims, like way back. And so I was like, I have to have that. The one thing that I didn't add in here was the new inflatable furniture. I should have done that, but it didn't make sense at this time. So, and for the kitchen, I know that we've been on here for a little while, but man, it was a challenge. At least it somewhat matches. But as I was doing, I was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. Awful. And but just looking at it now, it doesn't look half bad. Not great, but not bad. And now we're working on the outside, which again, I was already almost 2 hours at this point. And I was just like, it's just gonna be what it is. It doesn't look the prettiest. There's not any activities outside. And there's not any terrain paint. So figured that this is just what it's going to be. And that's the video. Thank you for stopping by.